Happy Ferris Bueller's Day Off, by the way.
I'm Steve Benson. That's Paul Schultz. This is the Don't Panic Radio Show. Sit back, relax, and ignore the news because nothing you are about to hear is true.
In the beginning, the universe was created. This has made a lot of people very angry and been widely regarded as a bad move.
I said it before and I'll say it again. Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
They think he's a righteous dude.
Happy Ferris Bueller's Day Off. What is wow. I guess it would be that time of year.
Yes, it is. Yep, June 5th, 1980 something.
Today is June 5th, the day that shall live in infamy. Matthew Broderick takes the day off. Yes, I didn't.
Yes.
Wow, it's like every day, like Breakfast Club Day was recent. Was kind of recent too, wasn't it?
Star Wars Day was last month.
Oh yeah. May the 4th be with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Sith, something about the 5th, Return of the 5th.
Yeah.
The
return of the Sith, or Revenge of the 5th. That's a day. That's a hangover day.
So that movie, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, was filmed and set in a suburb of Chicago in which my wife's relatives lived. And so all of those sort of teen movies from when? The 90s? What did you say? June 5th, what now?
Like mid-80s. I don't know exactly when Ferris Bueller came out.
Our teenage years.
Yeah.
Like I knew people that went to that high school, basically. Mm-hmm. And can confirm that they are not necessarily the kind of people that we would have hung out with in high school. And while I like that movie, I really like Cameron, what's his name's? Cameron better than
Cameron.
The other guy. What's that? What was the actor's name? Cameron's actor, because he's been in a few things.
Alan Rudd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he turn out to be is he a boomer? Did he turn out to be a Trumper?
Well, I'm sure he's a boomer. I don't know if he's a Trumper, but he hit on my ex-wife at a convention one year. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, what's wrong with him?
He didn't know her.
You're like, take my wife, please.
Please.
I don't know, just so many people from back in the day. I don't know where Matthew Broderick ended up. He's still doing stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
And there's this car dealer in Indianapolis. His name is Terry Lee, and he's got all the commercials. You know the type. Terry Lee Honda, and he's in his own commercials or whatever. Something about car dealers.
Bob Gorman.
Yeah, exactly. And for the longest time, I kept going, why is Matthew Broderick doing local car dealership TV commercials, right? In my head. And finally, I asked my wife, I was like, has Matthew Broderick always done those commercials? She's like, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, the Honda commercials. She's like, what dealership has Matthew Broderick doing? I was like, well, one comes on, I'll point it out. And this tells you how long ago this was, because we were still watching, broadcast TV. It comes on, dude comes on, and she's like, okay, where's Matthew Broderick? I was like, that's him. That's Matthew Broderick. She's like, you are insane. That's Terry Lee. He's like Asian. I was like, that's not Matthew Broderick? She's like, no, that's not Matthew Broderick.
I get the impression, having known you guys as long as I have, that your wife's typical response to anything you say is, what the hell are you talking about?
It's pretty common. See, Matthew Broderick.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, he is.
Now, back then, Matthew Broderick could do that. We can't do that now because we never should have done that then. But he has range, I've seen, but I don't know if I want that kind of range.
It's like Jeremy Renner and Gerard Butler, I mean, I can be forgiven, I think. There's a name for it. Somebody looked it up. One of my kids or somebody looked it up, and there's a name for when you are not able to see the difference in faces. So if I'm ever asked to pick somebody out of a lineup, I'll probably just be like, I don't know, all of them. Like they all look like the guy, you know.
Unless it's Kramer.
I was thinking about Kramer. Okay, so Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Save Ferris, right?
Yeah.
Like when I first saw the movie. Well, first of all, when that movie first came out, all the popular kids saw it. They were all quoting it. I had no idea what they were talking about. And this contributed to my feeling like everybody knows things I don't know, because they would be like, bump, bump, and I'd be like, wow, these kids that's kind of cool. Like they're smart because they came up with that, right? I figured like
They're
they
dropping beats.
came up with all these things, right?
Mhm.
Like Todd Jones would run around going, Lisa? And Mark Canola would go, I don't think we should be here, right? And I'd be like, how did they come up with that? Who's Lisa? And it was from Weird Science. But
Smash cut. They still do that.
yeah, oh, okay. I liked the movie, but now when I watch it now, I see so many things in it that I'm just like, well, first of all, the Dirty Dancing person, Jennifer Grey, she's right. He gets away with everything. He's the parents' favorite, right? We all agree with that, right? And she's right. She should not have let him off the hook. I agree with her getting the principal in trouble. I do not agree with her helping Matthew Broderick get away with things.
Yeah. Yes.
She should have let him.
Well, was that a John Hughes movie?
I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay, because I'm trying to remember. Like,
Easy.
and he did. Because did he do Breakfast Club too?
Yeah, he did Breakfast Club.
Well, I think one of the things about, because I mean, I'm not a big fan of the movie. But at
John
least the
Hughes.
guy did things. Okay, he did. Okay, and in Breakfast Club, it's not a happy ending for all the characters, because we know that the outcast basically sells out at the end of the movie. All right. So, and then
the outcast sells out. Explain that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
she pretty and pinks herself to get the jock. You know. So
in Breakfast Club. In Breakfast Club. I was thinking. I was like, who are we talking? Okay, in Breakfast Club. I hated the ending.
you were clicking on stuff, I think, and so the
I
outcast
hated the end of
in
Breakfast
Club. Yeah. The outcast in Breakfast Club sells out, goes the pretty and pink route, gets the jock. We hate that ending. Yeah. We like that ending. We like the ending for everybody else, but we hate that ending. Then you go over to Ferris Bueller, and she is the one who's right. Ferris is wrong. Somehow Ferris is the hero.
Yeah.
All that is so 80s. It's like it was almost like aware. What's that word? Self-aware of what was going on.
Yeah. But
so
it was supporting it.
Yeah.
It didn't point out. So here's the interesting thing. And now we're off on a deep topic. If you didn't come here today for a deep topic, you're about to be disappointed. The 80s, the movies they made in the 80s. Okay. They were, art reflects culture, right? And the culture of the 80s definitely was get it any way you can get it. Game the system. Yes. The academia is useless and ridiculous. So instead of like getting an education and just go do your own thing, right? However you can get away with it, including taking your sick friend out of their sick bed, extorting them into using their dad's car, which will get them in trouble with their dad, like big trouble, right? Against their will, without your friend's consent, right? And you're seen as the hero.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters did something similar, where Ghostbusters basically said the problem, like the whole conflict in Ghostbusters was set up as you've got these guys who don't know anything about anything, right? They're goof-offs. They're losers. But if you just get the regulations out of the way. They will save the planet, right? And whether it's City Hall or egghead scientists, what do scientists know? You know, it's like get the scientists, get the regulators, get the egghead City Hall, get all of government out of the way. And these losers who are just free market, like just trying to make a buck, right? Using their own little business. They're the Elon Musk of the time. Just let them run wild because they will know best, right? And they end up being the heroes in the end and saving the world.
Yeah.
Where was I?
Yeah.
Oh, I
He
can't.
blacked out for a minute.
I cannot rail against that Breakfast Club ending enough. First of all, I've seen Breakfast Club probably at least 20 times.
Yeah.
I like it for the nostalgia. I like it for it points out that yes, each one of these archetypes existed at the time. I bet they still exist. I've asked my kids about it. And they're
different.
like, yeah, we call them something different. But
Ask
it's
your
still,
high school kid.
yeah. Like we call them something different, but they still exist. Now, their popularity is different. The nerds are way more popular than they were in our day, right? And everybody has access to socialize too. Weird and demented, but social. No, sad and demented, but social. Here's the issue, and it would have been, okay, now I'm going to go on a leftist rant.
Go right ahead.
The nerd in Breakfast Club did the labor of writing the essay while everybody else was off making out somewhere, goofing off, making out, right? But they used their social capital, their bougie social capital, to not have to do any work. Now, the outcast is the one that doesn't really fit in that. She was probably most like Ali Sheedy's character was probably like, well, hey, why not take advantage of this, right? I get to partake in the fruits of this. And John Bender probably too. He was like, hey, I was poor, but now I get to partake in the spoils of this social capital, and I get to take advantage of it. And I was able to bully this kid into doing the labor for me, right? And the only one that did labor for those kids was the one that didn't get to hook up with anybody. Right. So he didn't even get to, the only thing he got out of the whole deal was, maybe he's not suicidal anymore. And, he gets to not go back to detention and probably go to college. Right.
You got to smoke a little weed.
And here's the other thing about Breakfast Club. It's similar to it's John Hughes as it gets, right? You take off the glasses, you're pretty. You put the glasses on, you're weird and ugly. With Ali Sheedy, it was just like, if you get some bangs and put on some makeup, you're pretty. But if you are a little bit different, dress a little bit differently, you're weird and ugly, and not even the nerd one wants anything to do with you, right? Where in reality, probably John Bender and Ali Sheedy would have been friends on the outside.
Yes. Yes.
Although I get bully vibes from him. I get John Tunstall, that other guy whose name I can't think of. The big guy who 2 years older than me, when I was in 4th grade, thought he was cool for beating me up. Even though he didn't beat me up, I held my own. What was that guy's? Jim Stimler. I know this is on the internet.
I haven't thought about him since that incident.
I know this is on the internet. I know he might find it. I know he's probably a cop at this point. And I said what I said.
I'll look into that and let you know. By that, I mean, I'll ask somebody that I know.
Oh man, if he's not, I'll be shocked. It's like a Christmas Story 2 or whatever that was called.
Oh,
a Christmas
God,
Story
yes.
story. I guess it was the third one. Christmas Story.
Yeah, technically the third one, yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like, I didn't even know that Scott Farkas became a cop, but he did.
Yeah. You were like, did he become a cop? I'm like, yes.
Of course. And that's supposed to be seen as, oh, he turned his life around. He's doing good now. It's like, no, he didn't turn his life around. He's doing exactly what you would expect a guy like that to do.
Yeah, because he abuses his power a little bit in that movie. So yeah, he's right on track.
What a top.
I have a love-hate relationship with Breakfast Club. But with getting back to Ferris Bueller though, when that movie came out, I remember the regular guy on WXRT did a review of it, and that being a Chicago-based radio station.
Mm-hmm.
His biggest problem with it was he goes, "There's no way this kid could do all that in 6 hours." Because he's at a parade, which is on this side of town, and then he's over here on this side. He's at a ball game that's over here.
Yeah.
And if you know Chicago, he did a whole rant about it. It's pretty funny.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but I don't know what parade that was. There were some German-looking people in it. Was it German Day?
Yeah, because he was doing Dunkashane or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, was it Marty? Is it German Day? No, man, it ain't German Day. let's just never have one of those, shall we?
It's like Confederate Pride Month or something. Although,
oh, good God,
the Germans are all right. The Germans are all right. It's they had a little period in the 20th century where we ain't got nothing. Hey, we can't talk. we used to be able to talk. We can't talk. We can't talk. Right?
Yeah. The thing too about Ferris Bueller though is the actual unsung happy ending of that movie is Cameron, because while that was not okay, so Bueller goes in being a smartass, does what he does, and then I feel that he basically was backpedaling and like, well, now, hey, look, now, you got to stand up to your dad, but all he really wants to do is just steal the car. Right. And then in the end, like, you know that the future for Cameron and his dad is not going to be good.
Yeah.
But he'll be out from under that boot.
Yeah.
And so, but it's the movie about Ferris, not about Cameron. It's not Cameron whatever's day off. It's Ferris Bueller's day off.
Cameron's day off.
He's like,
I want to see that movie.
Ferris Bueller is like he's kind of the opposite of like Cool Hand Luke, because like Cool Hand Luke spends his whole life wondering what his purpose is, and the whole time he's trying to figure out what his purpose is, he's helping all these people, and it never occurs to him that's his purpose. Ferris Bueller just does what Ferris Bueller wants to do, and wraps it up and, hey, look, now you got to stand up to your dad. It's like, no, that wasn't your intention.
Right. I think they try to make it look like he's the hero because that was his plan all along, to get Cameron to live his life, basically.
Yeah.
To get Cameron to stand up to his dad or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And clearly, you're right. No, Ferris was out to do what Ferris wanted for Ferris, right?
Mm-hmm.
Including making the principal of the school think his girlfriend's dad is a pedophile, and incestuous pedophile, right? He didn't care that his girlfriend now has that reputation at the school. I didn't care about that.
Yeah. Which is really weird because, with the principal like spying on him and like just aghast at how terrible it is. And then you find out about that actor later on. It's like, I wonder why you're not in Beetlejuice 2.
Every conservative accusation is a confession. So,
remember, one finger pointing this way, 3 more and a thumb, or whatever the stupid saying is. It.
I haven't heard that since the last time you thought about Jim Stimler. Isn't Jim Stimler a great name for a bully, though? Like, if you were writing a movie, like, you couldn't come up with that name. Jim Stimler. Like Scott Farkas. Is it Scott or Scott? I still don't know.
Scott.
Like
Farkas.
the subtitles say Scott but I think it's Scott. I don't know. Anyway. What was I saying? It's what you were saying. So we've got the regular guy, can't possibly do all that in 6 hours, plus having a nice long fine dinner lunch
Yes.
at
Yeah,
Charlie
yeah,
Trotter's or whatever.
yeah.
And then going to a baseball game. I'm assuming they watched the whole game, which is a good 2.5 hours.
A nice nap.
Go to the museum and standing and looking at stuff in the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I like the movie because it's nostalgic. I think that's why
Yeah.
watching the movie, you get these nostalgic feelings, which is what John Hughes was going for, right?
It is possible to do all that stuff though, if considering it was the 80s, if you could do it in a montage, because the 80s was all about the montages.
You could get a
could've
lot
pulled it off
done in a
that way.
montage. It's true. All right. Doing Chicago. Oh yeah. That's the music that they would do during the montage.
Yeah.
There would be some synth music in the background. Down, doing Chicago. Oh yeah, let my Cameron go.
7 Sound.
My oldest thought it was hilarious back in the day when you and I took the Breakfast Club test and we both got Ali Sheedy.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That's funny. Of course we would get Ali Sheedy. So here's the confession time. Real talk.
All
Real
right.
talk. This
Bring
is
the
just
lights
between,
down.
it's between you and me and our 8 listeners. This is real talk. And I think the reason I like and hate and like all those movies, right, is because, as will come as a surprise to absolutely no one. And again, I think this is what John Hughes was kind of tapping into. These aren't necessarily real people, but these are people we would like to think that we aspire to be. So even Ali Sheedy, right? Even if you're like, no, I don't want to be the jock. No, I don't want to be, even Ali Sheedy, that character wanted to clean up, wanted to put on the makeup, wanted to cosplay popular kid and make out with the jock, right? Which is, they said it. They on the nose made that point during the movie, right? When they were sitting around smoking weed. It's like, basically, Molly Ringwald was right. Like, well, you all want to be like us. You want to be us. And of course, they were like, oh, what's his name was like, the dude with 3 names, Anthony Michael Hall, was like, oh, you're so full of shit. And it's like, I don't know. I think the popular kids didn't, Molly Ringwald and the Molly Ringwalds of Rogers High School didn't necessarily want to be them. But that was the role they had to play, or they thought they had to play, right? And then our role, or everybody else's role, is to pretend, or not even pretend, but just kind of look and go, boy, I wish I could play that role, because they seem to be having a lot of fun. And in reality, they weren't really having all that much fun. In fact, there's science to back that up. They weren't sleeping with as many people as we might have thought they were. They weren't going to parties as much as we thought they were. But they had to play that part. And so that's probably what John Hughes was tapping into. The Ferris Bueller's Day Off thing. We all wish we could be like Ferris, right? Not giving a rip. Being so popular that every single person in the school likes you. And being able to run around Chicago and do all these things seemingly at will. It's a fantasy. And the real talk part of it is, I can sit here and rip on it all I want and say, oh, that's not, nobody wants to be that way, and nobody is that way, or whatever. But the movies wouldn't have been so popular if there wasn't this undercurrent of envy, Yeah.
He was good at capturing the moment, for sure, and understanding the archetypes. It's kind of like Watchmen. Watchmen, everybody thinks about, Watchmen as like this period piece, but it's no. This was taking place in the moment, but it was self-aware, and that's what a lot of Hughes is. I'm not comparing the two in literary form or whatever, but they were both of the time. They were both self-aware, and that's why I compare the two of them.
Change the channel, Marge.
For John Hughes, for Ferris Bueller, and for Paul Schultz, I'm Steve Vincent. This has been the Don't Panic Radio Show, and nothing you just heard was true.
Bueller.